Welcome to The Advocate's Voice, Personal Injury with David Maran.
Hello and welcome to The Advocate's Voice, Personal Injury with David Maran. David is a personal injury and auto accident lawyer who has represented people throughout the state of New Jersey who have suffered loss or serious injury due to the reckless, negligent, or careless actions of another. I am your host, Kevin Rosenquist, and in today's episode, we're going to discuss the scene of the accident. We're gonna go over everything that kind of happens and what is the sort of the protocol and what you should try to accomplish while you're there. David, so good to see you again.
Hi, good morning, Kevin.
All right, so take me to the scene of an accident. What is the mindset of someone who has just been injured in an accident, and what are the first steps that they really need to take?
Okay, very simple. Assuming you're the driver, once you've brought your vehicle to a stop, first make sure you're in a safe location. If you've been in traffic, the accident could put you in harm's way where your car ends up. So first, get your bearings. Where are you? Are you in a safe spot? If you're in a safe spot, stay exactly where you are. If you're not in a safe spot, pull over as soon as you safely can. Put your flashers on, stay there, then check on yourself and the occupancy of your vehicle. Now you've just put the car in a safe spot. Now check on yourself. Are you okay? Is there anything life-threatening going on? How are your passengers? Always try to be aware of everything that's going on around you. Try to bring back complete awareness for the whole scene and yourself and your occupants. That's your first step.
And I know that, you hear about how, it's really important to document the scene of an accident. What specific details should victims really focus on? What do you recommend people are really need to make sure they capture?
Are you getting a little ahead of me?
I am.
Yeah. Once you're first there, you're safe, your people are safe, call 911.
Okay.
Call 911, get the police to come to the scene to document the scene. Your question on documentation was absolutely key. First step, always the first step, dial 911, get the police to the scene. They will at least collect everyone's personal information. The basics, just like on TV, license, registration, insurance card for everyone. And that information will show up on the police report. But you need to call 911, can't assume somebody else has. Of course, if you've directed someone in the car, that's different. But call 911, please be able to tell them if anyone is seriously injured. Just checked on everybody. Let them know that you have someone injured there at the scene so they can dispatch police either quicker or dispatch an ambulance if they're able to from that 911 call center. That's the first step, 911. Once you're safe and you're thinking about documenting, it's perfectly okay to stay in your car. But if you do get out of your car, I wouldn't necessarily approach the other driver, but you do have a cell phone with you. Go ahead and start taking photographs. You have a wonderful device with you already. Use it. Take pictures of the cars. Please be sure to include the license plates so we know for certain which car is which. When you shoot the cars, get the point of impact and any possible damage that's on that car. Shoot the scene. Try to include any street signs that might be present, any overhead traffic signals, any stop signs. Start looking for witnesses. Try to see who's there, who saw the accident. If it's appropriate, approach them then. Get their names, get their numbers. The witnesses, there's almost always witnesses, but people usually tell me, oh yeah, they were there, but I don't know who they were. So find out who they are. And if you feel comfortable enough, say to them, would you be willing to be a witness? If there's still time at this point before the police arrive, or perhaps after the police have come and they've done their job, look at the scene. Look at the adjoining properties. You're looking for cameras. I think the biggest thing I can tell you today is how this type of what you can do at the scene has evolved, is the vast number of locations that are under camera scrutiny. They're either controlled by the public, meaning the police. There may be cameras at the scene on some of the poles that hold the signals. Occasionally they're on light poles, but often there are also cameras at adjoining businesses. For example, a gas station always has cameras. Go right in there. If possible, after the scene, be friendly and direct with the manager. Can I see the footage? And they may roll it for you. Can I get a copy of the footage? If you want to be really certain that you walk away with it, you can take your cell phone and record the same video that they're showing you then on the screen. I've seen cops do this basically to protect the evidence. You can come back with a flash drive, a CD, however they can get you the actual image files, which would be better. And don't just get the 3 seconds. Try to get a full minute or so before and after. And there are often multiple angles. If you have the ability to view them and just choose the best, you can do that. Or you can just collect everything and sort it out later. Once the police arrive, cooperate, answer their questions, tell them what you know. If the other person talks to you or you are overhearing what they say to the cop, listen to what they say. If that driver makes an admission that they did something wrong, for example, I didn't see you, I didn't see them, or I didn't see the stop sign, whatever it happens to be, remember that, write it down. If you can, word for word. That is an admission against interest. It's actually an exception to the hearsay rule. And we will get that into evidence. So now you have physical evidence, you've taken images, you've going to get the police report when it's available, and that's going to have all the data that you need. That's the policy numbers, all the information about the car, the driver, the owner of the car. You will learn who the insurance company is. You've looked for cameras. You've looked for witnesses. Write down perhaps what the weather is that day. You could even consider if there's skid mark on the road. You could measure the skid mark. You could photograph the skid mark. Skid mark disappears in a few days. And in the really serious cases, in death cases, the county has often what's called a fatal accident unit. And they come out with all their toys. They're using LiDAR today to take a complete 3-dimensional view of the accident scene with every measurement you could imagine. Of course, lots of photographs to go with that. And if they came across that skid mark, they would use it to run calculations and be able to confirm the speed of that particular vehicle, which would allow them to come to some conclusions as to the happening of the accident. Those people have more education, and they're often called accident reconstructionists. You see them in only the most serious cases. But in general, if you follow the basic rules and collect everything that's available, then you'll be well prepared for any potential case either against you or that you bring.
In a situation where you might be injured at the scene, maybe even you have to go away in an ambulance, how do you protect your legal rights when you obviously you need to get yourself better, you need to make sure that you get the care that you need, but you might not have all that, have the information or have the ability to get all that information that you just went over. How does that work?
Assuming the police came to the scene, that makes your life much easier because they do the collecting. They look at all the documents that you have presented, for example, license, registration, insurance card, and it's all recorded on the police report. The issues become a little more difficult if the police don't come to the scene.
Yeah.
Then largely they'll tell you, we can't make it, just exchange information. Or often the parties will decide, well, we're not calling the police. We'll exchange information. I would urge you to always call the police.
Yeah.
But if exchanging,
if an ambulance comes, would the police almost always come or not every time?
Oh, no, not every time.
Interesting.
Especially in the densely populated communities.
Yeah.
They just are, I guess, too busy.
They're busy, yeah.
But they often don't come, or you're just waiting for long periods of time, and the drivers mutually decide, we'll exchange information. Okay, that's okay. If you must, you must. So basically, you're trying to get the 3 documents that everyone would present to the police. You would use your cell phone again, take an image of their driver's license, take an image of the insurance card, and take an image of the registration for the vehicle. Those are the 3 documents that cop always asks you to show, and that's what should be exchanged. Then do everything else that we just spoke about in collecting data. Lots of photographs. See if there are witnesses, see if there's video, photograph the scene, photograph the cars, then seek medical attention. I assume if the cops haven't come, the ambulance hasn't come. If the cops come, they'll ask you, do you need medical assistance? Do you need an ambulance? If you're hurt, say yes. If you're hurt, say yes. That will allow the emergency room to check you out and see that there's nothing more serious there going on. It will also very well document what your complaints were on that day. It will notice what time you arrived, and it will run tests, whether it's whatever's required, x-rays, CAT scans. I've even seen an MRI done in the ER. So it's possible. Whatever you need is available at the ER, and they will document everything. The only reason not to go is your reasons of convenience.
Right. Yeah. Or you're just like, I'll be all right. I'm just a little sore. I'll be all right.
Well, you may wake up the next morning.
Yeah.
And really then feel it.
And
I mean, that
all
happens
right.
a lot of time. So if that's what goes down, pick yourself up and go to the hospital then. You can take yourself to the hospital. You don't have to go from the scene. Some people want to take care of their car or get their kids home, and then they go. But get to the hospital. Let them check you out. They won't miss things that way. And there's also nice documentation on how you were feeling on that day and what the clinical assessment was by the nurses and doctors at the ER.
So in that situation where you might be truly hurt and you're really unable to gather any evidence at the scene, you mentioned that the police will handle that, assuming that they come. I imagine though they're not going to be going to the gas station for the video. They're probably not going to be doing the thorough, I don't know, from top to bottom list of things that you just went over. So what is available to you afterwards? I mean, how can you go back later and document the scene? I suppose you could, but a lot of stuff won't be there anymore.
You absolutely can go to the scene after. The old excuse that you couldn't get the video any longer because the tape's been overwritten within a certain time period is not really too valid anymore.
Okay.
Most of these systems are either storing the video on hard drives or they're putting the information into the cloud. I think in order to get their cooperation, it is easiest to get there soon after. Try to identify who the manager is, try to politely ask for their help and see if you can, gently talk them into helping you. Certainly it helps getting there sooner, and the longer you wait, the tougher it is. Sometimes I've heard advice that it makes sense to go at a similar time. So, for example, if the accident happened on a weekday at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I would likely consider going back to the scene, and I would choose a weekday at about 1 o'clock in the afternoon, trying to see the same employees at the various businesses, right? I wouldn't just hit the gas station on the corner. I would be bringing my cell phone, which is always with me, my camera, and taking images or pictures of every camera I could see mounted anywhere and trying to identify who has control of that camera and can I get a copy of whatever came off that camera. Most recently, we had a case come in where a tow truck operator was merging into the left lane on routes 1 and 9 North Highway, and an accident occurs with our vehicle, and our vehicle was already in the left lane. So the tow truck operator tried to imply that we cut them off. Well, the husband who was driving, we had all the body-worn camera from the officers through the FOIA request, Federal Information Act request. But he went and he found video from a gas station, which showed that the tow truck operator was lying. He had basically came out of this gas station at a pretty high rate of speed, went across 3 lanes of 1 and 9, and had the collision with our car. Was he going to make a U-turn or a left turn? We don't know. But he clearly lied to the police. And that was all proven clear as a bell by that video that the husband or driver of the car obtained. So yeah, and he went afterwards, of course, but the time was reasonably tight to when the accident occurred. All of the public records will be available. So the police department when you request a report, you're going to get usually 1 to 3 or 4 page document, which is what's issued in every automobile accident. But at times, there's more investigation. So for example, I briefly mentioned the fatal accident unit. If they've come out, you're going to get a file that's perhaps an inch thick, complete ultimately with their ultimate report, the accident reconstruction report, based on all that evidence that they gathered. Mm-hmm. And all of that's available. All of the images they took, even the LiDAR, everything is available through a public agency, which does an investigation. So sometimes the fire department comes out. They're using the jaws of life, perhaps, to open that car to get you out. They've got records. Get them. Pretty much try to identify every source of records that you might be able to get, every source of imaging that you might be able to get or create. I even go to Google Maps all the time. And I want to look at the satellite view. I want to look at the street view. And the idea is to truly understand what happened in the accident to the point where you can clearly explain it, demonstrate it to an insurance person, a jury, whoever is required.
Well, I think that's great advice, and thank you for going over all of the do's and don'ts and what happens after an accident. And thank you for tuning into the Advocate's Voice Personal Injury with David Maran. To connect with David and the team, head to njmalpractice.com, and please like and subscribe to our channel and leave us a review. David, thanks so much for going over all that with us. Really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Kevin. Good day.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.